We have the wonderful pleasure of getting to hear from Micah Simons this morning. He'll also lead us in a lunch and learn, or a learn after lunch in the social hall later. So be sure to stick around for that. He'll be with us as well tomorrow morning in various capacities at Biyachad. He'll join us at Talmud Torah, a wonderful opportunity to experience all that our community has to offer. And then he'll be back again in January. So just to introduce him a little more formally, Micah is a second-year rabbinical student at JTS who is pursuing the rabbinate on account of his desire to sustain Jewish community and the complexity of its traditions and practices. He currently serves as the Slivka Nadich Fellow at Cornell University Hillel. Prior to beginning his studies at JTS, Micah studied at the conservative yeshiva in Israel as well as at Hadar's Summer Beit Midrash.
Little did I know, but only after having begun my journey towards the rabbinate at JTS would I learn that to be a rabbinical student is to, of course, be scholar and community organizer, leader of tefillah, and a listening ear for those whom I have the privilege to lead. But to be a rabbinical student is also to be a little bit like a professional athlete. While I have access to watch my beloved Penguins or Pirates from the comfort of my own couch, be they home in Pittsburgh or on the road to play, hypothetically, the Wild or the Twins, the players themselves every few days must pick up and travel to a new city somewhere in North America and occasionally overseas. And for good reason. There's nothing like being at a game in person. All professional sports leagues could rent out campuses with training gyms, practice fields, and of course, fields for actual gameplay, shared with the world using state-of-the-art broadcasting technology, a la the NBA or the NHL during the COVID bubble. No. I find nothing more exciting than to be in the space where it happens. The dream that I'll make a viral diving catch on a foul ball, yet to happen as of yet, but I'll keep you posted. The chill coming off the surface of the ice, being in the presence of those athletes we adore and discuss as if larger than life. While I'm not playing in the game, all of this brings me to feel like I'm a part of it nonetheless. So too with my experiences as a rabbinical student. I could simply send via email my Divrei Torah to my students at Cornell Hillel instead of schlepping by bus to Ithaca once a month. I could have live streamed the JNF conference on YouTube instead of flying down to Dallas the other week to attend in person. I could have FaceTimed into services today and had my face projected on a screen somewhere in this chapel. But it's obvious. It's not the same. To be in the room, davening with all of you, sitting for coffee one-on-one with a student at Cornell as I hear the immense difficulty of being a Jewish college student in a post-October 7th world, networking and being part of a crowd of 2,500 Israel lovers at the JNF conference, also the Israeli wine tasting they had exclusively for rabbis and rabbinical students, davening and teaching and meeting the warm community at Adath and in Minneapolis. All of it happens in person where I can see your face and you can see mine. Yaakov's reunification with Esav is a non-virtual, full-body, not live-streamed, in-person experience. As we read the Parsha, it is as if we can feel our own bodies inside the episode. They hug, they speak, they kiss, they lower themselves onto the ground. However, the episode does begin from afar. Vayisa Yaakov enav. Yaakov lifted his eyes. Vayar v'hine Esav ba, and he saw Esav was coming. After 20 years apart, the brothers finally stand opposite each other. Yaakov, having fled for his life from his father's house, with Esav's birthright and blessing in hand, is now back from Padan Aram. He spent 2 decades there working for his father-in-law, Lavan. On the journey, he dreamed of a ladder and experienced the divine. Once there, he married 2 sisters and their 2 maidservants. He had 12 children, He amassed riches and wealth, flocks and gold. And now he is again before his brother Esav. When we last saw Esav, he was devastated, left with nothing on account of the cunning of his brother. Vayomer Esav el Aviv, and Esav said to his father, Havracha achat hi lecha avi, have you but one blessing, father? Baracheni gamani avi, bless me too, father. V'yisa Esav kolo v'yivech. And Esav lifted his voice, and he wept. It has been 20 years, and yet we, the readers, know it as having been just 2 weeks. Forget the turkey. Right after Thanksgiving, we read of the lentil soup and the cooked game Yaakov traded for Esav's birthright. Esav's cry stays with us, still ringing in our ears. Begging for just one blessing, Esav receives it from Yitzchak, albeit it is ultimately still in relation to his brother. Esav is empty, void, left in his father's tent with nothing but the simmering anger at his brother who has vanished, now on the road to Padan Aram. Yet this week we watch as the brothers first cautiously approach one another before falling into mutual embrace. Yaakov, like us, expects his brother to still need placation. The last words Yaakov heard from an immediate relative was the warning from his mother about Esav's intent to kill him. What's more, as Rivka tells him to flee, she promises him that she will fetch him once Esav's anger subsides. But today, it is not Rivka who has brought the brothers back together. Rather, seemingly, an act of fate, or a desire for reconciliation. In fact, it is quite apparent that Yaakov views his meeting as a vehicle for appeasement, worrying himself sick and organizing hundreds of livestock to give to Esav as a literal peace offering. After much care, having sent out messengers and preparing his wives and children, Yaakov finally meets his brother again. Following the dramatic reunion, however, Esav refuses all of the gifts, citing his own sense of abundance in life. Yaakov, channeling his inner Jewish mother, insists. Only after this insistence does Esav accept. What then was it in this insistence that changed Esav's mind? What allowed him to accept, not only receiving some of Yaakov's acquired wealth, but also reversing the flow of physical transaction, as we saw 2 weeks ago in Parashat Toldot? Why would Esav accept this gift when he already has enough? In Yaakov's doubling down, he says to his brother, Alna imna matzati chen be'enecha. No, please, if you would do me this favor. Belakachta minchati miadi, accept from me this gift. Ki alkein ra'iti fanecha kirot penei Elohim v'tirtzini. For to see your face is like seeing the face of God, and you have received me favorably. To see your face is like seeing the face of God. Ki alkein ra'iti fanecha kirot penei Elohim. Yaakov, whose time in Padan Aram was bookended by divine encounters, the dream of the ladder bringing angels between heaven and earth, and wrestling with a being of unknown constitution, invokes his godly encounters as he demands that he reverse the pain of the sale and the theft of birthright and blessing. But I bore witness to and even wrestled with God. It is as if Yaakov is saying, what more do I have to do? The 19th century German Rav Shimshon Raphael Hirsch wrote on this pasuk, Bechorah, birthright, and bracha, blessing, were the 2 points which had kept them apart. Yaakov expresses himself about both. Regarding the Bechorah, the birthright, the spiritual moral factor, he gives his brother in the mincha, in the gift, his homage, acknowledging the nobility of his mind. Regarding the bracha, the blessing, he points out that he has drawn absolutely no material advantage, the riches which he has having been granted to him by God, who has blessed the work of his hands, and for more than that, he has no desire. So he has atoned for both. Yaakov atones. He repents. The moment is successful as two brothers, once at risk of fratricide, have reconnected and engaged in meaningful exchange. Finally, in one fell swoop, Yaakov apologizes for the bechorah he exacted and the bracha he lifted, and Esav forgives him. Many of the classical commentaries and midrashim link this pasuk to the convention of bringing korbanot to the temple. Just as Yaakov approaches Esav with gifts, both physical and emotional, so too do we approach God in the same manner. But Yaakov's atonement runs deeper than gifts of goats and camels. Ki al kain ra'iti fanecha kirot penei Elohim, to see your face is like seeing the face of God. For once, Esav's face is seen. For the little boy who grew up hunting outside while Yaakov sat studying inside the tent, whose birthright was taken on account of his father's blindness, who doesn't receive divine attention, it took his brothers seeing him to finally heal him. While the two bound towards each other in an emotional embrace, I believe that the restoration of the brotherly relationship does not come until the moment Yaakov says, Ki al kain ra'iti fanecha, kirot penei Elohim, to see your face is like seeing the face of God. Ki al kain ra'iti fanecha, to see your face, or literally, because I saw your face. To be in relationship with another is to look them in the face and to say, I see you, I understand you. The Torah itself clues itself into the idea that Yaakov might have gone into this interaction precisely with the intent of letting Esav know that his face has finally been seen. Immediately before their meeting, the word penei, face, is used 7 times as Yaakov prepares his camp for what will certainly be a meeting of deep significance for both of them. Yaakov knows what it is that Esav needs. He knows that he can only deliver that once standing panim al panim, face to face, with his estranged brother. And he delivers the message with an invocation of no less than the master of the universe, creator of the world, God on high. The rabbis often like to compare Yaakov to themselves, claiming that he was Rivka's favorite, perhaps because he was sitting in the tent studying Torah. Certainly a core principle of the rabbinate is thoughtful engagement with sacred text. Following the reunion with Esav, Jacob now gets the other side of the rabbinate, meaningful engagement with people. A midrash in Shemot Rabbah teaches when a person is appointed as a leader and dons the cloak of leadership, they can no longer say, I tend only to my benefit. I do not care about the public. Rather, all of the troubles of the public come upon them. As I continue to train for my rabbinate by participating in communities, meeting the individuals that make up said communities, and sharing the Torah that I have to teach, the role I have set for myself demands of me that at every stop, I begin to accept upon myself the troubles of the community. As much as I might prefer to stay in the Beit Midrash of JTS and learn all that I can from the rabbinic textual tradition, the role of the rabbi demands more of me. It requires of me to look into your eyes and to say, I see you. And so I, like the subjects of my sports fandom, pick up with joy as I experience community after community and join in what each space has to offer. Taking from the communities in which I have participated, the communities in which I now get to lead, and the communities that will one day call me their rabbi, I aspire to continue to uphold the beauty and intensity that being present with one another offers. I'm becoming a rabbi because I love the Jewish people. I'm becoming a rabbi because I'm fascinated by our textual tradition. I'm becoming a rabbi because Ki al kain ra'iti fanecha kirot penei Elohim, seeing your face is like seeing the face of God. Shabbat shalom.
Yashikoach. What a pleasure to have you with us and to hear your Torah and to get to know you, and exciting that you're coming back in January. So to be continued. Also after lunch will be continued as well.